Hey there everyone, OpenAI has released their GPT-4.1 family of models. So starting off, let me just say it, the mystery has been solved. The Quasar and Optimus Alpha were indeed the GPT-4.1 family of models. So OpenAI has released these models only in the API, and according to them, they have improvements in coding, instruction following, and long context. Talking about the long context, these models have 1 million context length guys. That is nice to see. So if you look at the whole blog post, nowhere has OpenAI compared GPT 4.1 to other models like Claude 3.7 Sonnet or DeepSeek version 3.1. But no worries, we will look at that. So let's look at three important benchmarks for reasoning, max and coding. So now if you look at GPQA Diamond benchmark, you can see that there is a close call between all three models where DeepSeek scores 68.4% and Claude 3.7 Sonnet scores 68% and GPT 4.1 slightly falls behind with 66.3%. Now if you move on to AIME 2024 scores, that is max, you can see that there is a drastic difference. Claude 3.7 Sonnet is the last with just 23% and GPT 4.1 performs really good with 48.1% but nothing close to DeepSeek, which scores 59.4%, clearly a lead in max. Moving on to Aider Polyglot scores, which is a coding test, we can see that Claude 3.7 Sonnet takes the lead here with 60.4%, but DeepSeek is not that behind with 55% and GPT 4.1 with 52%. Claude 3.7 Sonnet takes a clear lead here. So now if we look at the total benchmarks, we can see that there is a head-on competition between DeepSeek and Claude 3.7 Sonnet when it comes to reasoning and coding, but there is no competition in max. So if we look at the total benchmarks, we can see that whether it's reasoning, max or coding, we can see GPT 4.1 doesn't take any kind of lead here. And on an average, DeepSeek seems to be the best. So that is what the benchmarks say. But let's get into the testing. So first in the reasoning section, I'll be showing the questions. You can pause and have a look at the question and try it yourself as well. So first is the water tank question. Claude Sonnet scores a 10 out of 10 and DeepSeek scores 6 out of 10 and GPT 4.1 scores a 10 out of 10 as well. Next up is the letters question. Claude Sonnet scores 4 out of 10 and DeepSeek scores 8 out of 10 and GPT 4.1 scores just 1 out of 10. Next up is the connect the dots question, where you connect the dots and understand the underlying word. Here Claude scores 10 out of 10, DeepSeek version 3.1 scores just 4 out of 10, and GPT 4.1 scores 10 out of 10. Next up is the grids question. Claude scores 3 out of 10, and DeepSeek v3 scores 7 out of 10, and GPT 4.1 scores a 9 out of 10. Next up, we move to some hard questions, the seating arrangement question. In this question, all models get 0, and in the 64 tennis player question, all models again get a 0. So if you look at the totals, Claude scores 27 points, DeepSeek scores 25 points, but GPT 4.1 it scores 30 points. GPT 4.1 takes a clear lead here. The reason that GPT 4.1 is able to do this is because it generates a lot of tokens, just like DeepSeek. And we can see this effect even in the max section. First, if we look at the level 1 max question, Claude scores a 0 out of 10, DeepSeek scores 9 out of 10, and 4.1 again scores a 9 out of 10. Moving on to the earnings problem, Claude again scores a 0 out of 10, DeepSeek version 3.1 scores a 3 out of 10, and even GPT 4.1 scores a 3 out of 10. There is clearly a head-on competition going on between DeepSeek and GPT 4.1. Next up is the shaded circle. Claude again scores a 0 out of 10, and DeepSeek scores a 10 out of 10, and GPT 4.1 scores a 9 out of 10. Next up is the hard geometry question, and as it's hard, Claude scores 0 out of 10, and DeepSeek scores a 1 out of 10, and GPT 4.1 scores a 0 out of 10. So now if we look at the totals, we can say that that is 0 for Claude Sonnet, 23 points for DeepSeek, and 21 points for GPT 4.1. So there was surely a head-on between DeepSeek and GPT 4.1, but DeepSeek was slightly better. So that's for the max and reasoning section. Now let's get into the coding section. Okay guys, so let's get into the coding section. We have GPT 4.1 on the extreme left, 3.7 Sonnet in the middle, and DeepSeek v3 on the right. Let's send them the first question. Write a snake game in Python using PyQt5. So this should be pretty simple for all three models, and we'll be starting off very simple guys, and then we'll, as you guys know, we'll be going to even harder and harder questions. Let's see what they come up with. The performance of GPT 4.1 in max and reasoning has been very good, but let's see if that stands out with coding as well. Okay guys, we have got the responses. Let's start off with GPT 4.1. Okay, let's run the code, and that's an error guys. I didn't expect that. GPT 4.1 gave us an error. So let's share this error with the model. The reason it is difficult for this model is because we are asking them to code in PyQt5. So we'll mention, please resolve the error and give me the complete updated code. Let's move on to Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and as you know, it is a coding beast. Let's see if that stands true. Let's run the code. And that works, guys. Absolutely awesome. Let's see if the collision works. Yes, game over. R to restart. And that works. Although I think when we restart it actually moves way faster. Anyways, that is a working code, guys. Let's move on to DeepSeek v3. Let's see if that works. Let's copy the code. Let's run it. And that works absolutely awesome. Although Claude 3.7 Sonnet's response and DeepSeek v3's response was very close. Let's see if the collision works. Absolutely awesome. R to restart. And that works. So meanwhile we have the response from GPT 4.1 as well. Let's copy the updated code. Let's run it. And that works. Absolutely awesome. It also looks very good. Let's see if the collision works. Game over. R to restart. Absolutely awesome. So it took one retry for GPT 4.1. Let's take this question to the next level. So we'll mention now the snake should look like that of a snake, and also the movement of the snake should be undulating like that of a snake. So let's see if these models are able to do that. And as you can see, GPT 4.1 has already started and it's very fast. Its time to first token is absolutely awesome. Okay, GPT 4.1 is pretty fast. It has done generating. Meanwhile, 3.7 Sonnet and DeepSeek v3 are going. So let's copy the code and let's see. So immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. Okay, it already says game over. So you can see I'm restarting, but as soon as I restart it shows as game over. So we'll mention this feedback to GPT 4.1. So we are mentioning that as soon as the game starts it's ending and not allowing me to play. Please fix this error and give me the updated code. So let GPT 4.1 do the correction, and meanwhile 3.7 Sonnet is done. So let's copy the code, guys. Let's see what we have here and let's run it. Okay, that looks absolutely awesome. And you can see the apple also looks very good. Okay, we can see that the snake is slightly undulating. We do see some zigzag movement, but it is not that prominent. Maybe as the snake becomes bigger, we might see that. Game over. You can see now the undulating movement is there. Press R to restart and that's awesome. But when we restart, I think the speed is increasing for some weird reason. Anyways, that is a working code. Absolutely awesome. Let's move on to DeepSeek v3. Let's copy the code and let's run it and see. Okay, that looks different. The snake does have a zigzag movement that is more prominent than what Claude 3.7 Sonnet gave us. You can see the zigzag movement of the snake very prominently, and actually that looks absolutely awesome. That is nice. Let's see what GPT 4.1 has done. So let's copy the code and let's run it. Okay, we have the same error, guys. Again, we are not able to play, so it's clearly a win for DeepSeek v3, followed by Claude 3.7 Sonnet and GPT 4.1 being the last, because it was not able to give us a working code. Let's move on to the next question. Can you code a dragon using HTML, CSS and JS? Show side view of the dragon and give your best implementation in one single code. Let's see, guys, which model gives us the better response. Okay, guys, we have the server is busy issue with DeepSeek. We'll try a few times, and if it doesn't work, we'll switch to OpenWebUI because we have DeepSeek v3 there as well. Do comment down if you guys also have this issue. Okay, guys, we've got the response from all three models. Let's start off with GPT 4.1. So the OpenAI team has been saying that they have improved the front-end capabilities of the model. We'll know that. Let's paste it. Okay, let's preview the full page, and okay, that looks awesome, guys. Just have a look at it. It's comparatively way better than what GPT-4o or any other model from OpenAI gives. We can clearly see the wings, and you can see the eyes are also blinking, guys. Absolutely awesome, guys. It is a bit weird in shape, but it's comparatively way better than what other models from OpenAI give us. So now let's move on to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Let's open up HTML viewer and let's preview the full page. Okay, so it does look like a dragon, and that is the breathing fire. That's absolutely disconnected to the body, and it's somewhere in the sky. The eyeballs are moving according to my cursor movement. That's nice. I think these are the wings. We do see the legs, and if you actually compare, you can see that OpenAI has really closed the gap in front-end development. Absolutely awesome. Let's look at DeepSeek v3 to actually come to a conclusion. Okay, even DeepSeek v3 looks good, guys. Comparatively, I would say that it's a beefy dragon. But if I have to rank, I would say that Claude 3.7 Sonnet's response was better, followed by GPT 4.1 and DeepSeek v3.1. Next question is, build absolutely the best implementation of the Super Mario game in a web page without using any external files and in one single code. Let's see which model gives us the best response. Okay, guys, we've got the response from all three models, starting off with GPT 4.1. Let's open up the HTML viewer. Let's paste it. Okay, that is a working code, guys. We do see the enemies. We see Mario. We are able to kill the enemies. But I think the scaling of the game is actually not good. You can see these power-ups are way higher than what Super Mario can jump to. But it does look more like the authentic Mario game. And clearly GPT-4o will not even come close, guys. So that is a very good response from 4.1 comparing GPT-4o, which doesn't do a very good job, guys. But let's look at Claude 3.7 Sonnet. It's an absolute king in front-end development. So let's see. Let's open up the HTML viewer and let's look at it. Okay, Super Mario Web, start game. And that's awesome, guys. But I think we are not able to jump. I'm clicking the up arrow, but I'm not able to jump, guys. So let's do one thing. We'll mention this feedback to Claude 3.7 Sonnet that I'm not able to jump. Please fix and give me the complete updated code. And since we are giving a chance to 3.7 Sonnet, we'll also mention GPT 4.1 that things are not in scale. I'm not able to jump high enough to collect the power-ups, make Mario and enemies larger, and everything according to the scale of the original game, and make things substantially better. This is a very small code, you have to give your best. So let's see if that works. Moving on, let's see what DeepSeek v3 has come up with. So we can directly run the HTML. So okay, Super Mario Web, start the game. So let's do that. And that is a perfectly working game, guys. Okay, I do think that it is warping. So if we jump here right there, you can see that it is warping. So that is not the intended response. Let's ask DeepSeek v3 to improve it substantially. So we are mentioning DeepSeek v3 that the game is very basic. Also, I am warping here and there. So make it substantially better. Please give the absolute best you can give. So let's end this. And meanwhile, Claude 3.7 Sonnet is done. This model is very fast in the API. So again, we have nearly 14,000 lines of code. So let's copy it and open up a new HTML viewer and let's paste that. Okay, so start game. Let's see. And we are able to jump. That's awesome. Also, the game looks absolutely awesome. We are able to take the power-ups. So comparatively, it looks better, guys. Very nice. Let's play a bit to check if there is any issue. So I can say that comparatively, it is better when you compare all three models. There is no scoreboard though, but it's nice. And as you know, Claude 3.7 Sonnet is king of aesthetics. So it has to look good. Anyways, let's move on to GPT 4.1 because it's done generating. Let's paste the code. And that looks awesome, guys. You can look at the Mario. It actually looks like Mario. It is not completely rendered, but we see the hands, the legs, and the hat. Okay, guys, I have to say that comparatively, it looks more like the Mario game. But again, I said that improve the scale of the game. That doesn't happen, and also for some weird reason, I'm not able to move beyond this point. So restart. Yes, guys, I'm not able to move beyond this point, and also I mentioned to improve the scale of the game, but that doesn't seem to happen. You can see that these power-ups are way higher. So if the front-end aesthetics are very good, I would say that even better than 3.7 Sonnet, but the actual mechanics is not that good. Let's look at DeepSeek v3. Okay, we again have the server busy issue. Okay guys, so finally after multiple retries, we have got the response from DeepSeek version 3.1. So let's run it. Okay, let's start the game. And that looks awesome. We do have audio as well, guys. The game is very smooth. And there is the option to win as well. Let's play that once more. As you can see, we have audio, we have power-ups, and we are able to win as well, guys. So comparatively, I would say that DeepSeek was the best when it comes to Super Mario game. Okay, so next up, the question is, create a JavaScript animation of falling letters with realistic physics. Let's see guys, which model gives us the best response. Okay guys, we have got the response from Claude 3.7 Sonnet, so let's open up HTML viewer. Let's copy the code. Let's see. So I've maximized the screen. Let's see guys. And we do see the falling letters. They are correctly toppling over. And the physics is also absolutely amazing. The movement of the ball is also correct. Absolutely awesome guys. That is a pass from Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Let's move on to GPT 4.1. Let's copy the code, HTML online viewer, and let's paste the code. Okay, the ball says drag me. That is nice, but you can see the letters are staying upright. What should happen actually is that they should topple over, but that's not happening and they are weirdly staying upright. So comparatively, that's not a very good response from GPT 4.1. Meanwhile, DeepSeek v3 is done. We can directly run the HTML, so let's run it. And there you go. We have the letters. They are falling realistically, but there is some weird thing. We can see that when they fall, they are oriented differently, but they are weirdly staying in the same orientation they are falling in. You can see there is no change. If you compare that to Sonnet response, you can see that how the alphabets are actually, turning and spinning. That is not happening with DeepSeek. So comparatively, I would say that Claude 3.7 Sonnet is the best for this particular question. Let's move on to the next one. The next question is write a Python code for a hollow circle with an opening and there are two balls inside it which bounce and hit against the walls. Every time a ball exits, two new balls are generated. So let's see guys if they are able to make this animation. And I think GPT 4.1 is done guys. It's blazing fast, nice. So let's paste the code. Immediately we don't see any errors. Let's run it. And okay, that is a clear fail, guys. It was not able to create that animation. So that is a fail from GPT 4.1. Meanwhile, we have first response from DeepSeek v3.1. So let's paste the code. So immediately we see two errors. Okay, let's run the code. And so it's a clear syntax error, it seems, which is a very bad thing. So we'll just mention that please give me the corrected code and no audio is required. So let's send this, and we have the second response from 3.7 Sonnet. Let's see. Immediately we don't see any errors. Let's run it. And okay, we do see two balls. The opening is clearly mentioned, and one ball exits and two balls come out. Okay, that's absolutely awesome. Even the balls look very good. Okay guys, we have got the response from DeepSeek version 3.1 as well. So this is its second chance. Let's run it. And okay, we do see two balls. The physics looks amazing. Let's see what happens when a ball exits the circle. And okay, as soon as the ball exits, we do see two circles, as you guys can see. But the opening is not clearly mentioned. So I would have to give this to Claude 3.7 Sonnet because comparatively it was better. So this point goes to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Let's move on to the next question. The next question is write a Python program that simulates Earth rotation. So let's see which model is able to do that. It's a pretty tough question. Okay guys, we've got the response from all three models. Starting off with DeepSeek. Let's copy the code, let's paste it, and okay, we don't see any kind of errors. So let's run it, and this is what we see. We can see the earth is not very clear, and also the rotation is along the wrong axis. It seems that we can zoom the earth and you can see the moon over there. So I would say comparatively it's an okay response. But let's move on to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Let's copy the code, let's paste it, and immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. Okay, and this is what we have got, a black screen. Nothing is visible, guys. Okay, if we zoom out, we can see something. So I think this is Earth according to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. You can see I'm able to zoom, and not a very good response, I would say. Comparatively, DeepSeek was slightly better according to me. Let's move on to GPT 4.1. Let's copy the code, let's paste it, and let's run it. Okay, that looks comparatively awesome, guys. We can see the Earth and the moon spinning around it. We can see the landforms and the ocean. So comparatively, we can say that GPT 4.1 was the best in this particular test. That's awesome. Let's move on to the next question. So the next question is develop the most advanced and fully featured pinball game in Python. So we are slowly entering the very hard questions territory. So you might see that the performance is not very good. Okay, we have got the response from GPT 4.1. It is the first to complete. So let's copy the code, let's paste it, and immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it, and that didn't run, guys. That is a fail. Meanwhile, Claude 3.7 Sonnet is also done. So let's try it with Claude 3.7 Sonnet. It's a pretty long code. Let's copy the code, let's paste it, and there is no error. Let's run it. And okay, that's an error from 3.7 Sonnet as well. Let's wait for DeepSeek v3 to complete. Okay, we have got the response from DeepSeek as well. Let's see. So immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. And that was a fail from DeepSeek as well. As you guys can see, all three models were not able to give us the working code, and I have very hard questions, but as you can see, it is pretty much pointless. So we'll end the coding section here. So we could clearly see that when it comes to the simple snake question, Claude and DeepSeek were able to give us a working code, but GPT 4.1 needed a retry. But when we made things harder, Claude and DeepSeek gave us awesome responses, and GPT 4.1 was not able to give us a working code. Comparatively, I would say DeepSeek was best in this. Next up was the dragon question. Clearly, there was an head-to-head between these models, and picking the best was kinda difficult. But I would say Claude 3.7 Sonnet was the one that was best here. When it comes to the Super Mario question, we could clearly see that visually GPT 4.1 was good. But that didn't work, it was a broken game. But Claude 3.7 Sonnet's code was working. And DeepSeek's response, although it took some time, but was absolutely awesome. And that was a win for DeepSeek. When it comes to the falling letters question, we could see that both GPT 4.1 and DeepSeek gave us a response in which the letters were weirdly staying upright. But for Claude, it gave us a correct working code. So that is a win for Claude. When it comes to the bouncing ball question, GPT 4.1 failed miserably, but Claude 3.7 Sonnet and DeepSeek gave us a working code. But comparatively, I would say that Claude 3.7 Sonnet was better. So that point goes to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. When it comes to the Earth rotation question, we could see that DeepSeek and Claude's response was not that good. But GPT 4.1 absolutely stunned us with its absolutely awesome Earth, with the moon revolving around it. So it was the first win for GPT 4.1. Next, moving on to the pinball question, all models failed that question because it's pretty hard. So Claude was better in 3 questions, DeepSeek was better in 2 questions, and GPT 4.1 was only better in 1 question. So I would say it's a close call between DeepSeek and Claude, but GPT 4.1 does fall behind when it comes to coding. So if you look at the total results, we could say that for reasoning, GPT 4.1 is the best. For Max, DeepSeek is better. And for coding, I would say it's a close call between Claude and DeepSeek, with Claude having a slighter edge. So best overall according to me is DeepSeek because it performs good in everything. But GPT 4.1 was clearly not able to take the overall best spot here. If you like the comparison, do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more such updates. And I'll be doing a checkers match between these models, guys. So stay tuned for that. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.